Hello, my name is Manny Macias, and I am with the University of California, Riverside, Gluck Fellowship Program of the Arts. I am currently a PhD student in the Department of Dance, and I have a fun activity to share with you today. Today, we're going to be playing with space. But before we begin our activity, there are a few things that you need to have prepared. For this activity, make sure that you have a piece of paper or something to write with. It doesn't need to be a blank sheet of paper. It could be scratch paper. Whatever you have on hand is fine. The following activity will ask that you move. Because of social distancing and remote learning, you might be dancing in a small space. Look around. Is there anything that can fall over in the space that you are dancing? Is there anything you could potentially crash into and hurt yourself? If you can move it somewhere safe to create more space, please do so. Also, if you're dancing outside, please consider your environment and ask yourself the same set of questions. If there are things you can't change about your environment and you cannot move somewhere more spacious, please proceed with the activity safely. And feel free to adjust as needed. Please warm up before you begin. Do about 30 seconds of running in place or jumping jacks. Do some lunges. It is possible to use this activity as a warm-up, but for the best experience, warm up before you begin. Consider what you are wearing. Is it too restrictive? A rule of thumb is that exercise clothes, think of what you might wear at PE, exercise clothes are best. Also, if the ground is super hard, slippery, or if you're outside, you might consider wearing shoes. Shoes are perfectly fine. Lastly, please listen to your body. This activity should not completely push you to your limit. Nothing should ever hurt. Again, feel free to adjust anything in this activity as needed. Let's get started. Have you ever watched people performing a dance and wondered if you could make something that intricate or creative? When we make dances, we're playing with different aspects of space. The goal by the end of this activity is to help you create your own dances. Today, we're going to be using a fun game called the Four Winds to help you play with space. The Four Winds was created by a postmodern dance collective named Lower Left. They're based out of New York City. I was taught by a former member of Lower Left, and now I'm sharing it with you all. So space. There are many different aspects that comprise space. Today, we're going to be focusing on only two aspects of space: place and shape. Place can mean many different things. If you're making a dance on a stage, maybe place means the stage itself. Some people even make dances outside. Place can be an outside area. Look around you. For this activity, place is going to be the current location you are in. For me, place means this empty room. So now I'm going to change my place, and I'm sitting, so I'm just going to move to the side. Can you change your place? Change your place again. Change your place again. And now change your place back to where you were sitting. The other aspect is shape. You can't not have a shape. As I'm sitting here, I'm making a shape. I can't not have a shape, right? You, as you're watching this video, you are probably sitting and you are making a shape. Can you change your shape? Can you change your shape again? Can you change your shape again? Wonderful. So now we have these two aspects: place and shape. All right, so to reiterate, We have these two ideas that we discussed earlier, right? We have place, right, which is for the sake of this game where you are in your room, and we have shape, which is the shape your body is making, right? So within dance, we can also have these two ideas. Stillness, right, which means you're not moving. Like if somebody tags you in freeze tag, right, you're frozen, you're still. And you have moving, right? And moving means exactly that. You're constantly moving, right? And you can be still in place, right? I'm not moving my place. Or you can be constantly moving your place, right? I'm like running around the room and moving. And then the same goes with shape. My shape can be still and frozen, or it can be constantly moving, right? So in this diagram, I have these 4 boxes, right? This first box is still place and still shape. And we're gonna call that box, let me see if I can get it to work. We're gonna call that box number 1. You're probably doing this right now. If you're sitting there and watching this video, you're doing number 1. You're not moving your place, right? You're sitting in one spot more than likely. I don't know, some people might get up and do activities. I certainly do sometimes. But for the most part, probably most of us are not moving our spot. And we're not really changing our shape that much. And I mean, we might be breathing, right? Or we might be fidgeting a little or, moving our mouth a little bit. But for the most part, we're still place and still shape. This is probably the easiest one. This box on the right is still place, but it's moving shape. And we're going to call that number 2. So number 2 means that you are not moving your place in the room. You're stuck in one spot. Think maybe your feet are glued, or if you're sitting on the floor, your entire lower half is glued to the floor, but you can change your shape constantly. Yeah, your shape is moving. Let's go ahead and try that. Go ahead and move your shape, but do not move your place in the room. I am currently sitting on a chair. I am frozen to the chair, but my upper body is constantly moving. Yes, that's number 2. So normally we would go to number 3, which is down here on the bottom left, but because it is the most difficult, I am going to save that one for last. And we're going to next move on to this box, which is moving place and moving shape, right? Because it's in the moving and the moving box. And we're going to call that number 4. So when we think of dance, we probably might imagine that all of dance or most of what we think of dancing lives in number 4. It's not always true, right? Some people freeze and dance, but when we think, oh, somebody's dancing, they are moving their shape, right? And they're moving their place, right? And we're going to call that number 4. So can you try number 4? So go ahead and ready. So you might have to move a little bit. Number 4, go. And number 1, which means you freeze. Number 2, so go ahead and move, but do not move your place. You're frozen in one spot and you're moving in number 2. And now number 4, you get to move all around the room. I am stuck on this chair because I want the microphone to hit me, but number 4, you can dance all around the room. Number 1, you freeze wherever you are. Number 2, you're still in the same spot, but now you're moving your body. You're moving your shape. And number 4 means you can run around the room, but you're constantly changing your shape and changing your place. And if you got up, go ahead and number 4, back to the computer or screen that you're watching this on and relax. And let's fall out of that. Good. So we have 1, 2, and 4. So this box over here is number 3. And number 3 is still shape, but moving place. And earlier I said that it was the hardest one. And it is the hardest one for a particular reason. And that is that you cannot truly do number 3 unless you are cheating or if you have an expensive equipment. If any of you have ever been to the airport and you are on those conveyor belts that move people, right? The people are frozen, but they're moving along, right? They're moving place, but their shape is static. Or you can even think of an escalator if you've ever been to like, I don't know, the mall, right? An escalator that moves you up and moves you forward, but people usually, they're not changing their shape too much when they're on the escalator. So unless you own an escalator or a fancy conveyor belt, you're gonna have to cheat, and it's okay. You can completely cheat for this. So number 3, and I'm going to show you a video. Number 3, if I'm standing, I like to use my feet to scuttle around. And number 3, right? Or however you can move without moving your shape, right? So ready, get some more comfortable, or even you can start sitting and see how you can, I don't know, kind of cheat this, right? Number 3, go. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 1, number 3, and number 1, and good. Great. So now that you have the rules to the 4 winds, let's go ahead and play. So we're going to do a very quick version. I am going to cycle through the 4 modes, 4 winds, randomly 10 times, and you're going to follow along with me. I'm going to be doing it with you, and I will have that on screen for you, but also feel free to no longer focus on the screen. You can just listen to the audio. You don't need to look at me because you know the rules now. If you have a big enough space where you can safely move without crashing into anything, you can even close your eyes if that makes it easier. But also, if you need, you can have your graph on a little scratch paper so that you can reference back to it if you, for some reason, forget the 4 winds. But also know, like if you, for some reason, miss the number or, you forget what it was, just improvise and do one of the 4 winds that you do remember. The second thing I will say is that I'm going to just call the numbers. And the best way is if it kind of works if you have played that game not freeze tag, if you've played freeze dance before, right? Where as soon as the music stops, like you don't get a chance to think about it, you just do it, right? You just freeze. It kind of works the same way with this. So as soon as you hear the number, as soon as you hear one of the 4 winds, you do it, right? Without thinking about it, you just do it. So you could be in the middle of something, right? You be in the middle of doing a jump or something, and as soon as you land, if you hear number 1, you freeze safely, right? Because sometimes it's impossible. So whatever you feel comfortable with, but try to be immediate with it, yeah? As soon as you hear the number, you do the number. So first things first, let's go ahead and find a opening position, right? A opening, you can pose, you can stand somewhere in the room, pick anywhere in the room, you can face away, pick somewhere to start. And here we go. As soon as you hear the number, you go. Number 2. Number 1. Number 3. Number 1. 4. 3. 2. 1. 4. 1. And this is your ending pose. Relax. Wonderful. You now know the 4 winds, a game that plays with space. You can use this game to play with your friends online over Zoom or even with your family at home, and you can create your own dances with this, right? You can teach your friend or your family the rules of the game, and you can call out the numbers 1 through 4 and watch each other do it. Or you can also, like if you have Zoom, you can, you can teach this to a group of people and you can watch multiple people do this. And it's really nice to see a large group of people doing the 4 winds. The other thing you can do right on your sheet of paper or any sheet of paper. You can write down your own combination of the four wins, and you can create your own dance, just like I did, how I called out 10 of them. You can just write them down, right? You can record yourself doing this combination, and you can rehearse it and recreate it, and where you no longer need the sheet of paper, right? And it no longer becomes an improvised dance. And now you have your own masterpiece, right? Your own dance. And you can do this in different genres, even. You can just move around and improvise, or you can do it in a modern dance style or a hip hop or a ballet style. And now, if you ever get stuck with creating movement or creating choreography, you can use this game. So I wanted to thank you so much for playing with space and learning about space with me. Again, I'm Manny Macias with University of California, Riverside Gluck Fellowship Program for the Arts, and thank you so much. Bye.